Hi guys, we're gonna continue our discussion about theoretical framework. We are looking at the table one as we have done earlier on with Plato and Aristotle, just to give you the bird's eye view back again. Now we are going to continue with the energy externalities, and then human rights, energy, due process, poverty, energy subsidies, energy resources, and climate change. Now, going to Jeremy Bentham, I think you are more aware of Jeremy Bentham by now and John Stuart Mill, their theory that they came out with. As jurists, they came out with the theories of for Jeremy Bentham is the principle of utility, meaning the greatest happiness of the greatest number of people, right? And if you're looking at that, what is that? These two, John Stuart Mill, he talks about the ability of society to be free to do whatever they want, but as long as the consequences of what they are doing is not affecting people, then they can utilize the freedom that they have in order for them to be happy. What that got to do with energy externalities that we are discussing. So if you look at here, the externalities that we are talking about is the impact of the energy production. If you were to produce any kind of energy, say for example electrical energy that we want to utilize for lifestyles in order for us to utilize in our daily living. So there would be some kind of price that we have to pay, right? Obviously, price of production is one of the direct impact. But we are looking at not only for the direct impact of that, but the other things that is so affected, that is also affected by this particular process. And we are looking at the cost that is the towards the society, impacts toward the society, impacts toward the environment, impacts towards climate, impacts toward many instances, towards the development of the society, towards progress of the nation. So these economics term externalities are cost or benefit or negative impact accrued by a third party from the action of others. So if you were to do something, the action of us will have a secondary impact or an impact to somebody else. That is something that we have to realize. Say, for example, if we want to take a journey from one place to another, you are thinking that that journey only involve yourself, but in actual fact is involving other people also. So whatever movement that you are doing obviously will involve the externalities that is going to be impacted. Say for example, if you're traveling from Kuala Lumpur to Penang, right? So many people are going to be affected by your action that you're doing. Say, for example, the toll plaza that you are going to utilize, the impact towards the what they call it, towards the road, the quality of the road, and then impacts towards the need for you to utilize oil, the need for you to stop over and refresh yourself at R&R, and then the moment you want to stop and buy food. So all activities that is involved when you are doing some this particular activity will involve externalities. That is something that comes along with your activity that you're doing. Okay, without thinking about it, but it's actually happening. So we have to realize that. So when it comes to energy, it is the same. Whenever you on your switch at your house to get the electricity, somebody out there is going to be affected, be it the environment, be it the animals, be it the society, so say for example you want to do a function, you know at your wedding function or something like that. It does involve other people, yeah? And it involves the energy impact towards other what do you call it, other parties. So that is what this energy externality is trying to make us understand. So what is that got to do with Jeremy Bentham then? So Jeremy Bentham talks about utility, right? So he talks about utility, and obviously he did mention about the two sovereign of our human being, right? As a person who wants to find happiness in our life, so we have the two sovereign motive, which is pain and pleasure. Obviously, in order to get happiness, obviously we want to avoid pain and increase our pleasure. So maximize pleasure and minimize pain. So when we were to be able to do that, obviously the activity that we are doing is something that is going to be beneficial for us. So this particular activity involving choices. So if you were to do choices, obviously it is going to have consequences. If you were to decide, as what I just give you the example of traveling from Kuala Lumpur to Penang, right? So you have already made your choices, because that choices can bring happiness, and you want to minimize as much pain it might produce. So, for example, you want to travel at night rather than in the daytime. Why you're doing that? Because you feel that night times it is better for you to be able to enjoy the coolness of the climate. So, but the moment that you do that, you are going to be taking into impact of other externalities. Yeah, such for example, the energy that you are going to use is more as compared to when you are doing it during the daytime. You might say that nighttime you don't open up your aircon, so therefore it is going to be minimal in nature as compared to daytime, because you are going to definitely open your aircon. But these are the impact. Whatever choices that you are going to do, that you might think you want to gain as much pleasure as possible, and trying to avoid as much pain that might comes from that particular activity. It does have this what we call consequences. Yeah. So these consequences, that the area of energy externality that is trying to highlight. Yeah. So what do you mean by externalities here? As I already mentioned, the impacts towards another what do you call it, factor that you might not realize, which is like society or environment and so on. Okay. John Stuart Mill. Now he promotes the what do you call it, the right of a person to make choice, and as long as he is able to make his own choices, he is supposed to be happy, and the government is not supposed to be a busybody in trying to regulate his conduct. As long as he is not harming people, that is what we call harm principle, right? So if harm principle is something that is being promoted by John Stuart Mill, the main purpose of the harm principle is to arrive or derive happiness to a person. But that action of a person, freedom to do whatever they want, also have the energy externality impact, where is, say for example, as long as you pay your bills, right? So you can open your electricity as you like. You don't ask people money. You are paying it on your own, so you feel that it is your right. However, you're looking at the utility that the utilization of the energy is going to have an impact to the environment, because if everyone were to do that, then obviously the whole society is going to be impacted. The rise of the energy production is going to increase. Yeah. Exponential, in a very high rate. And this is something that people have to realize. So that is why this article tries to relate the concept of utility when it comes to energy externality. There's two video here that we are going to look at just to get a better perspective. Yeah, there's two video here. Right. That is for Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill. Now we are looking at Immanuel Kant. Yeah, Immanuel Kant is whereby he is saying the area that we are going to look at will be human right and social conflict. Here, the key word here is about human rights. Now, he argues that human understanding is the source of general laws, and the nature that structure of all our experience. Now, in his point of view, is that if we were to be in a position that we are not able to understand our capabilities, yeah, our fundamental rights, so it is something that is going to be quite problematic to us in terms of our experience towards the world. So we don't know what is our rights. Yeah, it is going to impact how we are going to experience the world. Now, he says that human reason gives itself to moral law, which is our basic for belief in God, freedom, and immortality. Now, that is the basis because these are the things that we understand as human being because we have reasons. And that particular reasoning that we have over our rights is something that is in line with the thing that we learn from religion, and the understanding that even though you don't believe in religion, obviously you are going to believe in one simple, what do you call it, understanding that is universal in nature. So therefore, scientific knowledge, morality, and religious belief are mutually consistent and secure because they are all rest on the same foundation of human anatomy, meaning that is something that is universal in nature. Everything that we have under our own understanding of certain concept is universal in nature. Yeah? You don't have to go deep about it. Everyone is thinking about it in terms of the human rights that they are supposed to get. So this is the basis for Immanuel Kant that he says that the right of our society to be able to reason in terms of what they have the right to have, yeah, which is the rights and the social conflict. So when it comes to this idea of human right and social conflict, it involved in the energy production. So whenever you have energy production that is being produced or what you call it, being utilized by the society, obviously it will impact the human rights. Say for example, the production of electricity. So the government, it needs to build dams, right? In order to build dams, obviously they have to make sure that the area is going to be submerged. Yeah, area that of land will be submerged in order for them to do the dam. And obviously, the people that is living in that area is going to be removed, or they have to vacate that place. Just like we have seen in many places in Malaysia where orang asli has to be removed. That is, you can say it is for the progress that we want to do. What do you mean by progress? They don't need energy, but we are the one who needs energy. So we encroach into their rights in order for us to get what we want. They in energy we have to also consider all those kind of things. Yeah? We cannot be selfish. We cannot just say that this is our rights. I think this is our need, therefore you have to give in because you are the minority. If you go along the line of Jeremy Bentham, he says that we have to the minority have to give way to the majority in order for the majority to benefit. But Eminu Khan is saying that we cannot do that. Yeah, we have to look at the human rights. So when it comes to energy production or energy development, obviously it will involve human rights issues, and this is where the conflicts will happen. Yeah, as already stated in the item of human rights and social conflicts. Obviously, conflicts will happen. You see, nations are not happy when nation that wants to build dams. Yeah, so for example, the Mekong River, for example, the Nile River. So we have states, the upper states, yeah, where the origins of the river wanted to curb, yeah, the flow of water and try to build dams. Obviously, there would be what they call it, the lower nation is facing problem because there is no longer supply of water because it is now being maintained and contained. Yeah, this is something, a conflict that is happening throughout the world when it comes to energy or what do you call it? Yeah, according to the situation of the world. If people go to war in order for them to get access to water. So this is just one example. Lah. There's many examples that we can discuss. Next is Edward Coke, Thomas Jefferson, and Jugan Habermas. I think Jugan Habermas is a person that is going to be introduced in Juris 2. However, Thomas Jefferson, you know that he is the president of America. Yeah, I think, yeah. And then Edward Coke, if you Google, you can click the link that I underline here, and it will bring you to documents pertaining to those people. So Edward Cook is he is the judge who go against what they call it, the king, in order for him to be able to talk about justice for the society. And if he were to at that point of time, he saw that there are things that is not happening properly, so he goes against the king, and obviously he was demoted as the what do you call it, Chief Justice of England at that point of time. Um, so uh, Thomas Jefferson, he's a lawyer. He used to take up cases under human rights. Yeah, uh, uh, some of his clients would be what they call it, slaves. Yeah, in order for him to find his personal liberty of people. And if you read up, it's quite interesting where he actually have a copy of two volume of Al Quran in his collection because he needs to understand the religion, and it is now in the collection, museum collection. um, Habermas, he is talking about social unrest, yeah, as already stated here, and he did mention about communicative theory. He presented communicative theory whereby he says that the government is not able to legitimize their existence because they are unable to communicate with the society. So that is the problem of the government whenever they are in power. They fail to do that. So they have this so-called legitimation crisis, whether they are legitimate or not. And that is the crisis of government that they have to go through. And what these three people trying to relate to the issue that we are doing, which is energy and due process, is whereby we are talking about procedural justice. Okay, we are talking about processes that you have to be taken in order for energy to be produced or energy to be developed. So it is all about the ability for you to do it in a proper manner, in a very transparent nature. So when it comes to Edward Coke, he is trying to say that people will try to abuse their position in order for them to take up the opportunity that they have over the resources. We can relate to that. And Thomas Jefferson is talking about personal liberty when energy, uh, people will tend to, you know, try to abuse the processes that needs to be taken. Say, for example, you have the need for the society to have energy, right? So, what is the process that needs to be taken in order for the energy to be produced? So, there will be licensing uh, that is to be issued by the government. Before the license is to be produced or to be given or to be issued by the government, obviously it is going to be involved in the environment impact assessment that is needed to be done in order for that particular project is to be declared as safe, not having impact to the environment or the what do you call it, the society. So uh, energy production or energy utilization must be able to involve in the process, and due process has to be undertaken. So sometimes people wanted to make things faster, and by trying to shortcut and trying to do certain thing that is trying to jump the queue, pull the strings, end up the red tapes. The process is there for a reason, yeah, to make sure that everything goes well. So that is where these three people contribution in terms of the theory that they come out with is very much related to the energy process and due process of energy that we want to produce. That is the perspective of this. And then, okay, I already mentioned that. John Rawls. Okay, John Rawls is another person that says that I think you are also exposed. I just take one of the person. The rest of the person that is mentioned in table one, you can always Google it out. And I just don't have the time to be able to explain everyone. So, but I'm taking one of them in the list in order for me to elaborate and try to relate back to the energy topic that is being raised. So here we have John Ross. I think John Ross is covered under Juris one. Yeah. So John Ross. First, we talk about John Ross. John Ross talks about the what do you call it, the ability for us to realize the position, the inequality that happens in our society. So we did not realize that we are in the position of inequality because we never take care, or we never think about the position of other people. We just care about ourselves. Okay, being us as humans selfish, we just take care of ourselves. We never look back and look at other people and try to understand why they are in that position. We just took for granted the position that we are in, and therefore we take that status quo and take it as it is. This is what John Ross is saying that we cannot do. What we need to do in order for us to progress is that upon us to realize that everyone is not the same. Okay, you and me and the rest of us, every one of us is not different. We are all different. So the ability for us to realize the differences, that is the most important thing. And when we are able to realize that, obviously we will eventually realize the poverty, yeah, or the shortfalls of the members of the society as compared to you. You might be somebody that is saying that I'm okay. There are going to be people that is not okay. So we have to look at other people in order for us to move forward. So because if we were not able to realize our position, we call it original position that he did mention in his theory. Uh, uh, if we are under the veil, yeah, so we have to uplift the veil of ignorance that we have. So once we are able to uplift the veil and look at other people's, oh, then we start to realize they are very far off, as compared to us. So we have to take them together and recognize their differences or shortfalls that they have in order for us to bring them forward. So this is what he is trying to say. the theory. Now, what that got to do with the idea of energy poverty? Now, obviously, energy, everyone wants energy. It's just a matter of we have to realize that there are people who are unable to have access to the energy. We have poor people, we have poor nations, you know. If we were to move forward, not being selfish, not being able to say that it is our right to have energy access because we are rich, then we are going to face difficulties in the future. Because eventually, if we go deeper, we will have problems with these poor people, and they are going to cause problem. Yeah, they are going to have to cause instabilities in our societies. In what way? In the social problem that they are going to do. So, for example, killing, murder, stealing, robbing, and so on. So, without realizing the differences, it is something that is detrimental to our progress. So what he wants us to do is to look at others, yeah? Looking at those other poor people. So energy poverty is about something in that particular line of argument, that we are able to realize that there are people in this world that is you know very what do you call it, backward in nature, right? So upon realizing that, say for example, people in Africa, people in India, people maybe China, they are progressing. However, they are lots of members of the society that is being left behind because they cannot catch up. So these are the things that we have to realize. And in order for us to create law, this particular law has to also be in the position that look at the nature of the energy poverty that we have, in order for us to create welfare and happiness to the whole environment. It's not about ourselves, it is about the whole society as a whole. Robert Nozick. Robert Nozick's here, the area of the article that wants to relate Robert Nozick is the energy subsidies. Yeah, you know very well that people in this world cannot compete, and they need subsidies in order for them to what they call compete. Yeah, so it is a freedom in terms of the ability for them to compete with one another. And Robert Nozick, oh, sorry, my battery is running out. Then, okay. So Robert Nozick, he is liberalist. He is a liberal person. He sees that the society, in particular the government, is not supposed to be a busybody in ensuring or in doing things that is in a way regulating certain action of the society. So here in his book Anarchy, State and Utopia, is whereby he is trying to show that the minimal state, whereby the state is actually he's trying to say that by a minimal state, Nozick means that the state that function essentially as a night watchman, meaning night. You know what is night watchman, right? The Jaga people, with powers limited to those necessary to protect citizens against violent theft and fraud. Otherwise, other than this, violence, theft, and fraud, the government is to act in a very minimal manner. They are not to encroach into regulating anything else. Let everything be free. So it does relate to energy subsidies, whereby subsidies are given by the government in order for the society to fight, to compete. But he is disagreeing with that because he would see it in a negative manner. Because if government were to give subsidies, and the subsidies is actually having a negative input where other people cannot compete because the government is helping certain people that have more ability to compete. Yeah, they are in the upper hands. They are able to go and fight with other people because they were being backed up by the government. So to him, he would see it is not a fair what they call it, a fair fight. Say, for example, I just give you one example. Paddy, when it comes to our rice production, Malaysia and Thailand, obviously, Thailand rice is very much more, what do you call it, uh, productive. Yeah? They are more productive. It's more uh, in terms of flavor because they have the technologies into producing good rice or good paddy production. So we in Malaysia, we don't have that kind of technology. Uh, and then the seasons that we have 5 times per 2 years. Yeah? We have 5 times in order for us to cultivate paddy and produce paddy within 2 years. We have 5 times because then we have irrigation like Mada, Uda, and things like that. They tried, yeah, Mada lah, I think. We have all those regions in Kelantan, and then we have Perak and especially Kedah. The government of Malaysia try to compete with Thai rice because Thai rice is very very cheap, but at the same time more delicious, yeah, as compared to our rice. So if we were to let Thai rice to come into Malaysia without the ability for us to curb this rice to come in by virtue of tax. Sometimes they tariff. They impose tariff for the rice to come in, the Thai rice to come in, to prevent the Thai rice to come in and to protect our industry, our rice industry. So our rice industry, furthermore, is being sponsored, being given subsidies and things like that. So whether subsidies is good or not to the nation like Malaysia, subsidies of rice, in terms of what do you call it, uh, the uh, the things, the things that is needed in terms of the water, in terms of uh, the what they call it, baja, or this uh, the things that is needed for the plantation to grow well. The subsidies in terms of budget, as I already mentioned, is something that is in the form of subsidies. And Nozick, he says that he does not agree with that. This is one area of energy that we have to look into whenever there is a law to be created, whether the law is actually enriching a certain number of people or certain group of people. Say, for example, subsidies in the European countries, they subsidize their planters heavily. So when they subsidize their planters, it will give more advantage for the planters to produce good product, and therefore they can tarnish the supply of other countries. So the same with energy. So some countries, they have more productivity in terms of energy production. They have more technologies that they have to produce better or cheaper energy. So this is an issue that has to be resolved because country in this world, in order for them, when it comes to energy production, is something that is very very detrimental. Yeah, you can see it in two ways. You might see it in subsidies is good because it helps, or from the perspective of another, it would be something that is negative in nature. We will be discussing that in class, inshallah. Next is Ronald Dawkins. Yeah, Ronald Dawkins, he talks about here the energy resources, posterity, meaning for the future generation that we have. It's not for prosperity, prosperity, is posterity, meaning it is something that is in the future. So Ronald Dawkins, he rejects the positivist and natural law approach towards law. Whereby he thinks that when it comes to problematic issues in the society, it needs to have some kind of dynamic in order for us to find solution. We cannot use positivist point of view. It is very straightforward. It's just an objective approach. If you were to look at the natural law, it is more of a general perspective, which is like more subjective in nature. So he disagree with both approach, and he says that we cannot be in the position to only choose either we will follow positivist or natural law. What we have to do is to look at hard cases in a way of a new light, in order for us to find some kind of decision, in order for us to give the right decision. So this particular right decision can be from the what he says, a superhuman judge, Judge Hercules, where he is in the ability of that particular judge to look at the totality of the law. So you look at all resources when it comes to you solving that particular problem, from all the institution that we have, or the moral standard that we have, and the goals of the society that we are having. So, in order for us to look at energy resources, we cannot be looking at only one perspective. We are to be looking at in all other perspectives that is open for us. And if we don't have the so-called solution, say for example, we have renewable energy, but the current renewable energy method that we are applying is still not enough. There still need to be discovered, still need to be improved, needs to be what do you call it, to be researched in order for new things to be produced. So that is where he is saying that it is energy resources issue for us to be able to look at, and not to only close our mind to only certain technologies. So that is from energy resources. And then we have Peter Singer. Peter Singer, if you press the link, and then you see that he is the promoter of the what they call animal liber, liberation, animal liberation. He tries to liberate animals in a way that he thinks that animals has the right to be able to survive in this world. So he talks about the ability in terms of fairness, responsibility, and capacity for us to be able to look at the energy in a way that we are not selfish. We are looking at the energy from the perspective of the futuristic, yeah, the future element, or the future ability for us to survive with the unchanging climate change that we are suffering from, because the energy production that we are eager to produce, then the climate is the one that is going to be affected. So that is from the perspective of Peter Singer. In total, that we have discovered about the theoretical framework. So we have 8 areas here, right? From the 8 areas that is being discussed, we have all the theoretical framework, theoretical theory, that is being produced and discussed and being stated. So I hope you now are able to realize the area within the article given, and hopefully we can come to class and what do you call it, discuss further, yeah, all this area. If you were to have any questions, then we should be able to discuss it further, inshallah. So with that, thank you guys. See you in class.